Tragedy has struck the entertainment industry this weekend. This is part two of a two-part tribute. The first one I just did was for Paraguayo Jr., wrestler who just died in Mexico. Um, if you're a wrestling fan, please go check it out. Um, this being part two, this is my tribute uh, video to AJ Pero, drummer of Twisted Sister. Welcome back, everyone. This is Jason, aka J-Bone of the Ramblin' About Wrestling podcast. Uh, yeah, this was not the way I wanted to spend this weekend doing videos. This is, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Anyone who watches videos on my channel knows this. I do about 90% of the videos I do is about wrestling. But I love music, and wanted to offer a little tribute to this drummer of Twisted Sister, AJ Pero. 55 years old, died while on the road with his other band, Adrenaline Mob. He was with them for a couple of years, but anyone who knows AJ Pero, he's been with Twisted Sister. Even when the band was broken up for several years, he was always known as part of Twisted Sister. So yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this tragedy. It's very sad. Um, I'm not going to be like, oh, he was the best drummer of all time, or he was my favorite, or whatever. Well, I love Twisted Sister. I grew up listening to their music. In grade school, they were all over, MTV when they played with Motley Crue and Rat and Poison and all those guys. It was the height of their careers back in the '80s. But if you've followed Twisted Sister over the years, and this is not an insult to Twisted Sister or Dee Snider, this is just constructive criticism. It's um, knowing what their music was back in the '80s. Yeah, it was great rock anthems, but you know that Dee Snider back then wasn't a great singer. And it wasn't until after he was done with Twisted Sister and through his solo projects, or Widowmaker, Desperado, projects like that, where Dee started to really become a great singer. And say, well, what's the point of all this? The point of all this is I got to see Twisted Sister. I didn't get to see him when I was a wee little nard. Back in the days when they were MTV darlings. We're Not Gonna Take It, all those anthems, The Price, which I've been playing that a few times. That's my favorite, The Price. It's classic. When they got back together in the early 2000s, when they did somebody's birthday party, and then they did like a 9/11 tribute show, got back together for that, and then the wheels started turning. And they did this small yet, in my eyes, definitive tour in 2003. And I got the ticket stub. I dug out my old scrapbook. Has tons and tons of old concert tickets and stuff, and news articles, pictures I'd cut out of Metal Edge magazine, amongst other heavy metal magazines. And they did this small tour across the U.S. back in 2003. And that was when I got to see Twisted Sister. So I went with a buddy of mine, and it's kind of a last minute thing. They played, of all places, the Eagles Ballroom on the east side of Milwaukee, which is a fairly big venue to play. It's not an arena per se, but and there was probably a good couple thousand kids packed in here. Uh, and one of the significant memories of that show is how the band sounded. They sounded absolutely incredible. In fact, they sounded better than when they did in the 80s. And a lot of it was part of how Dee sounded. But as far as how the whole band played together, they sounded great. Excuse me. And I have to share with you one unique thing about that show. Not that they just sounded great. When me and my buddy Chris got to the venue, and we got there really early, and we parked across the street, and there was just like, I don't know, when you get to a special concert, you feel like there's like a vibe in the air, and kids start showing up, and it's going to be a special night. And I heard music coming from across the street from where we were parked, and I was like, I was just smoking a cigarette, drinking a soda or whatever, and I was like, well, let's go across the street. Now, I knew we couldn't get in the place yet, but we heard music playing, so I wanted to get closer to see what was going on, So we got across the street, and we're sitting outside the Eagles Ballroom, and they were playing upstairs in where the ballroom is. It's upstairs, the biggest room in the venue. And we're sitting out front, we're looking up at the windows, and we're listening to this. And it was Twisted Sister rehearsing. And they were playing a cover of Led Zeppelin's Dazed and Confused. And I'm telling you, as a fan of Led Zeppelin, it sounded as good, if not better, than Led Zeppelin themselves. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh, that's crazy. I can say that from hearing it. And over the years, looking up videos on YouTube, I've looked for footage of Twisted Sister doing this cover. And over the years, I've heard stories of, when they rehearse before they go on stage for a concert, they do different things, different, unique, they don't rehearse their music. They know their music. They've been playing that for decades now. They play different things. And hearing that outside of the venue, hearing them play Led Zeppelin's Dazed and Confused, I was like, that was it. That, God take me now. I just heard one of the most magnificent things in my entire life. That's what I felt when I heard that music. And then, of course, later we got into the venue, and seeing them on stage and playing the music how it should have been played, and they sounded so good. I think it was like a year after that, or whatever it was, they re-recorded Stay Hungry. And you know what? And now that I'm saying that, and I know they did that, I gotta go find it, because I know Dee sounds better now. Well, maybe it's been over a decade since then, but when they re-recorded it, I know he was a better singer than they were back in the 80s. So it makes me want to get it, because I know as a band they sounded tight as hell. And I'm sorry if this sounds like it's more about Dee than AJ Perro, but it's the experience that I had with the band. And then after that concert, And to this day, I'll say it's one of the best concerts I was ever at. And I've seen Kiss a few times. I've seen Motley Crue, I don't know how many times. Um, to this day, I will tell you that that Twisted Sister concert, as odd as it was, because they're all older and they were all looking vintage in their makeup, all glammed up. I can tell you, it's one of the best concert experiences I ever had, honestly. And and then something really awkward happened. We went outside, me and a couple of friends who I ran into. We ran outside and we're looking for the tour bus, because we wanted to see if we can get some autographs. And we, we ran around the building like 3 times looking for a tour bus. And we're like, well, what the heck? Then we saw a group of kids out back sitting by a minivan and a trailer. And we're like, yeah, we walk up to this group of fans and we're like, where's the bus? Where's the bus? Where is Twisted Sister's tour bus? And then someone said, they're not touring in a bus. They're going across the nation on this, it was like a dozen dates across the U.S. And we were lucky enough to have one of them. It wasn't like, a 200, date tour. This was like, they were taking baby steps, and because there was some bad blood in the band. Go watch the behind the music. They lay it all out there. And yeah, it was like a dozen or less or so, give or take a few dates across America. Milwaukee was one of them. And they were going across the country in a minivan and a trailer with their stuff. And that just floored me. Just absolutely floored me. Of all the big tour buses I've waited outside trying to get autographs, pictures with the band, whatever. And here they are. They came out, took a couple quick pics, um, signed a few autographs, and a buddy of mine wedged his way through the crowd, got a couple autographs for me. They're in my scrapbook, and I looked at them right before I did this video because I was trying to see if I could recognize, what was what. And I really don't recognize any of them as far as, who signed what autograph, because it's all just, horrible chicken scratch. But I know some of them are some of the guys from the band. Whether it was AJ's or not, I don't remember. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, just an interesting experience. Going up to the club, hearing them from outside, seeing them live, and then afterwards watching them all pile into a minivan and leaving with this trailer with their equipment inside was less like, wow, you expect them to be all on a bus and touring and whatever. And one of the most humble experiences that I've seen a band do as far as touring just floored me, really floored me. So yeah, go to twistedsister.com, go to the Twitter page, go to the Facebook page, go check out the tributes that they had on there. And this is just a couple days after AJ Pero died, and it's sad. It sucks being the age I am now sometimes, because the bands you loved when you were young, stuff like this starts to happen. Either bands start to break up, call it quits, like I did a video on Stephen Pearcy leaving Rat for the umpteenth time. I did a video on, Motley Crue. They're on their last tour. They're calling it quits. Or they're, excuse me, the band isn't breaking up. They're just not touring anymore. And now, or you have a tragedy like this, where members of some of your old classic favorite bands are passing away. So, wow, yeah. AJ Pero, 1959 to 2015. 55 years old. Rest in peace, AJ Pero. You will be missed. I know they've got a bunch of summer concert dates scheduled, and don't know what's going to happen with Twisted Sister. Are they going to call it quits? Are they going to get someone to fill his shoes? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Whatever happens, happens. It's certainly understandable when something like this happens that they, call it quits. Certainly, they've had other members in the band after AJ left the first time. Back in the, was it late 80s, early 90s, whenever it was, when he left the first time or got kicked out, whatever the situation was. I have to go watch the behind the music again, and because I don't remember exactly what happened or if they even put it in there. I'm not sure, but I know they've had other drummers, so we'll have to see what happens with the band now, where they go from here for touring, or if the band stays together or whatever. We'll have to see what happens. So that's my thoughts on AJ Pero passing away. It's tragic. It sucks when the bands you love start to fade away and things like this happen. Yeah, it sucks. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching.